the very third day of the fourth month of the year 2025, the year of the Lord. A very good morning to you wherever you're joining us from, listening or even watching us this morning. It is Thursdays, and Thursday is all about relationships. It could be love, it could be dating, and this morning it's about dating and it's a couple. My guest this morning will be talking to us about the success of dating as young people. And I hope when you hear success, it's not about, financial, the money. No, I think there's so much more to look at when you talk about success in a relationship. This morning, I'm honored to be joined by two young people who are in the legal field, legal space. They're going to be taking us through their journey of dating and as young people and being successful. My name is Sally Limo. Welcome and join me on this conversation on 20316 SMS line or 0786 316 316 is our WhatsApp line. Karibuni sana, lady and gentlemen. Please introduce yourselves, and I'll start with you, Maureen.
A very good morning and praise the Lord. My name is Maureen Chiruto. I'm a fourth year student in my final year, and as well as a legal intern.
Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. Mark.
Thank you. My name is Mark Okech. I'm equally a fourth year student. I'm also an intern, and I appreciate to be here this morning.
Karibuni sana. I'm so glad to have you both. Maureen, maybe I'll start with you just to let us know, how long have you been married? Dating. But I'm professing now. You'll get married anyway.
Amen to that. We've been dating for a year.
Yeah.
A year right now. We were in a friend zone, rather like a friendship zone for a period of 2 years, and then we saw that it was now time enough for us to get into the dating space, and it's been 1 year, and we appreciate the Lord and thank Him for this far.
Yeah, so how long were you friends for?
2 years.
You met each other in campus?
Yes, we met each other in campus. Yes.
Mark, for you then, this has been, 1 year is not a short time. How has it been like for you in terms of, how would you describe it as successful when you talk about success and, all that in that space?
Very well. Looking at the 1 year, it takes me back to the common saying that the journey to heaven is narrow and that which goes to hell is wide. Looking at the recent times, dating has been more of a narrow journey, especially for people of our time.
Yeah.
And looking at the 1 year, it has had me change perspective on the same, because I've been built, I've been refined spiritually, and it is something that I can highly encourage. Yeah.
How about you, Maureen? In this time, in this generation, how is it like dating?
I would say in our generation, dating is something that people approach with fear, not because it is not something that is quite really bad, but because it is because of some of the experience that people have had before.
Right.
So people fear getting into something that requires you to be committed. So it is very difficult for people in a relationship to really enter it with an open mind that this thing can work, or it can get into marriage, or you can set it as a couple and maybe like envision you being somewhere in future. So for me, I would say it has really been an awesome journey, a journey of learning, relearning and unlearning some of the things that we've experienced on our way.
Oh, beautiful,
so, yes.
Beautiful, I like that. And with all this, what Maureen has just said, Mark, then how has this helped you, grow as an individual first, before growing together as friends?
First of all, I must admit that it hasn't also been that swift journey, because you find that before you come into this dating life, you realize you've been raised up by different parents, different values, and now you're coming together, and there are points you have to compromise. There are points you have to uphold certain principles because they seem to be workable. And now moving to your answer, personally, when I met Maureen, it was in Christian Union. She happens to have also served in our school as the Christian Union leader. So in terms of the positives, it drew me closer to God. I never used to, by the time we were friends,
Yeah.
I was not frequenting things like going to church and fellowshipping with people. I used to be this kind of person that I used to tell her me tajiombea and, and so on and so forth. But having interacted with her, I was drawn more to Christ, and it has improved my spiritual life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for you, Maureen, how have you grown as an individual also in this relationship?
I would say in terms of character, I would go the character direction.
Okay.
When I say character in this context, I will say honesty and transparency. Initially, I used not to be honest in a way that I used to like keep a lot of things to myself, the aspect of vulnerability. So he came in handy to a point that he will tell me that it is safe for you to share with me your thoughts. It is safe for you to tell me. If normally he would ask, initially he would ask, how has your day been? And I'll tell him, my day has been well, I thank God, it is okay. But now it came to a point where I had to tell like the nitty-gritties now, the details. You know, serving now in leadership, first I was the secretary, now the chairperson. You wouldn't want people to see you as a weaker person. But now I came into a space where I now had someone I would tell them everything, like the way things are. Whether I was pissed by this person, I don't like the way they were acting. I feel like I acted in such a way. So like that really grew, has helped me. He has helped me grow in that aspect. I will also say, in terms of mooting, he's a great mooter.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a very great mooter. Before I met him, I had never like gone to any competition, but now he pushed me towards, you know, you have potential. I've seen you like addressing like their leadership. I've seen you addressing the church, and I know you can be there and present a legal argument.
Right.
He really pushed me. I think to a point I also became a best female orator, courtesy of him, and it was my first time mooting. So I would say he has really helped me grow character-wise and even in that aspect.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Good job, Mark. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Now, you know, she's talking about vulnerability. What role do you think vulnerability plays in your relationship and any other, to someone who's listening or watching us? What role does that play?
Vulnerability, I'd term it as more or less a smooth criminal, or rather the enemy within, because it's something that not everyone can see it, but within you it just comes, and sometimes it sabotages you from achieving your ultimate goals in life. And when you can't achieve certain goals in life, it means that you're not your perfect self. And somehow it also means that you can't be perfect for another person.
Yes.
Remember, by the time you are coming to this relationship, there are things that you have to have put together. For instance, you must come to the relationship while you're healed, because the relationship shouldn't be more of a therapy session.
Right.
Let everyone come when they're healed, so that it can be more of a relationship than working on things like therapy.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to vulnerability, it is important to also understand that humans can be vulnerable at some point, and this includes the people that we care about. And it includes the people that have trust in us. When it comes to vulnerability, it narrows down to understanding each other.
Okay.
Because I'd say, you know, men with the ego and the whole masculinity thing, especially nowadays, it's becoming a topic. It's even hard for a guy to accept that they can be vulnerable.
Yeah.
But there are those points that you feel like, at this point, we've reached a point whereby we can understand each other, we can help each other, and it is important to share and communicate so that we find a solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, yani you had to put the word criminal, yani lawyer, nini, smooth criminal. All right, anyway. Maureen, so about communication, because it's also a very fundamental pillar when it comes to, you know, dating, relationship, and all that. How do you then define a successful communication between the two of you?
Normally we say that communication is key. For me, I would define communication being good in a relationship when it comes from a point of honesty, transparency, openness. Because when we seek to say honesty and transparency, when you say honesty is like, I will ask you, like, where have you been today? And you will respond. When it comes to transparency, when you're just giving an update of how you've been, you'll just get to yourself saying it, speaking it out without being asked. So when it comes to communication in a relationship, I will define it as from a point of being transparent as an individual. You'd pour yourself out as it is without even hiding something, because you know the other person, maybe at the other end of the phone or like just beside you, will get to understand you from a point of love. So you'll just be honest, and maybe if there is at the point of communication, if there is something, maybe a boundary you've broken, they'll be able to understand it rather than you keeping it to yourself and then finding it later in a relationship when the relationship is continuing. So I will say a good communication in a relationship comes back to the point of being transparent, honest. Yeah.
All right. Mark, do you want to add something to that?
I think it is important also to distinguish between transparency and honesty. So honesty is the point whereby I would come and ask you something and you'll tell me the truth. Then transparency is the point whereby I don't even have to ask. You'll just come and say, by the way, this happened during the day, and it's like you are saying it even before you're being asked, which creates more trust. Yeah. And it looks more authentic.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And so I'm just either of you can take that, but maybe Mark, you more. How do you envision your future together, and what are some of the steps that you're taking to ensure that you're headed towards the same direction?
Okay. In regards to that, we first acknowledge that biologically, as it is argued, we haven't reached the apex of our maturity.
Okay.
Yeah. You see, most advisors would argue that a man will properly handle issues such as marriage when they are 27 years and above, and a lady 24 years. So having been live to that fact, we have a couple that we are under their guidance, Mr. and Mrs. Wanjala, who have been working with us through this journey. And also coupled with that, we've been following the Get It Right, Make It Right by Mr. Douglas, such mentorship programs that have been helping us towards our end goal. You see, remember when you earlier stated you had introduced us as married? Hopefully, and we trust God that is our ultimate goal. Yeah. But we're also treading this journey carefully, getting the guidance from the couple. Yeah.
And Maureen, so far, what has made your relationship stronger than even when you started dating?
I would say the aspect of moving from being more into the emotional aspect of getting into a relationship to a point now we come to discuss matters that are really, how would I say that, matters that really come to our attention. For example, our academic journey. He's a very good motor. I'm a researcher. Me researching for him, him going to mods, people coming to us, like asking us, like, how have you guys been? Like, how do you handle yourself? Us giving out like what we know and giving it to others. I would say also our relationship together as a couple with God has really impacted us, because we've been going to missions together. Yeah, going to missions together, having ourselves like going to door together. That has really made us like bond so much, because as you can see, we are law students and also legal interns. So finding time to be together more like is really difficult. So going for things like missions together, planning activities, asking him to advise me on which road I should take on this path has really made it more fun, like has made it fun for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And you know, some of those things actually translate to kind of a love line, the way you bond, the quality time spent together. And from where Mark comes from, we know they are known for, you know, they're good when it comes to matters, love, romance, and all those things. Mark, what are some of those little things that probably you do, small daily little things that you do to just show Maureen that, you know what, I really love you? Yeah.
Surprisingly, for us, we just from onset we had points that we meet together. In that she happens not to be over demanding. Like what is there is what we will go with, considering that for the longest time we've been students.
Yeah.
And I also happen to be a sports person. So things that like on a weekend, Saturdays, her coming to cheer me on my game.
Wow.
These are things that keep on spicing our relationship. Yeah, and sometimes we frequent dates. But I also have to face it from a point of truth that sometimes we are committed with school and we can go for even days without meeting.
Yeah.
But it is never an obstacle, because it used to be an obstacle earlier on, but nowadays we've understood that we have to meet also from a midpoint to ensure that our relationship does not prevent us from achieving certain goals in our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And because we've talked about, you know, by God's grace, you'll end up getting married. Do you people have financial discussions or conversations around matters, finances, planning your finances together at this point?
That is a very interesting question. I would say yes. I think when we started dating, one of the words that I used to say was financial literacy, and he was very intrigued and was like, oh, it looks like you know a lot about money.
Yeah.
And so I would say we've really been listening to couples talk about this. One of the couples that we follow are the Wakurugenzis, Judy Nyawira and Mkurugenzi. And so they've really been inspiring us in terms of how like their journey has been and how like from where they came to where they are today. So initially I would say it's been a month. We took a step towards opening each individually our bank accounts, ensuring that we channel like individually something there. And at least even enjoy like having fun to swipe with your credit card, like gives you like a certain aspect of financial independence as individuals. So we've also realized that the journey towards tomorrow starts today. So if we are disciplined with whatever we have, like how much do you want to like be keeping into accounts? I want to be putting this there, I want to be putting this there. So we've really been very consistent with that. And also when we are students, so when we go out maybe on dates, we ensure that because our parents really continue supporting us, so even from the money we get from maybe our internships, it is not enough to facilitate us. So when we go on dates, we are very mindful. We wouldn't go for a date where we pay like, let's say for a meal 15,000 because we know like yes, that is the road we are taking, but now we have to be very mindful of how we use our finances such that we do not reach a point where you are suffering because you are now in a relationship and you feel like, man, I wish I was single, like all this money would have been mine. But knowing how to tread carefully in a relationship, ensuring that you also gift each other, ensure that you have a good time, but also saving and using your money wisely. Yes.
I love what the point you're bringing in, gift each other. That's a love language, which normally I love talking about on this show. What is your love language, Mark?
My love language has to be words of affirmation. Yeah.
Okay. Do you get that?
I get it.
Really?
Yeah.
And Maureen?
I would say words of affirmation, and also I love being listened to. Like when I see something, I love you to just keep on reminding me, by the way you say this, is it okay? And he has really been doing it. And even affirming or pushing me towards like to areas that I didn't see I would get into.
So you charted waters that you didn't know you would,
Yeah.
you know, without his support. Fantastic. You know, when we talked about matters finances, of course, in there, then there are dreams that you both have. How do you, what is the biggest dream probably you have, the two of you?
Number one, before even actually going to the dream, I strongly believe like that financial literacy is not a nut that is cracked once.
Yes.
Because I think it's Dwayne Johnson who says, new levels, new devils. The moment you move from that 15,000 to that 150,000, it means there are also new needs and new things to learn. So we are still open to ways of learning, to educate ourselves more on financial literacy.
Okay.
And also when it comes to a big dream, especially for couples at our age at the moment, we prioritize and envision a time where we can own a home in the leafy suburbs of this great city.
Amen. Yeah. God will grant you that, you know. And for you, Maureen, your biggest dream probably that you, or do you share the same?
I would say yes, I resonate with him. We share the same dreams. And even we are in the legal space, so we really like aspire to be great lawyers, to be people in a society who, personally, I would say leadership. He is a leader, I'm a leader. So we envision a space where we'd be able to give back to the society as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And even in all this, I know you've created some beautiful memories together. As let me call you a couple for now, because you're together. What are some of your favorite memories together, Maureen?
You know, we come from different ethnic communities.
Right.
My favorite moments are those moments when we try to teach each other, like, how we say things in our local languages, and that is very interesting, because getting your partner to say something and then they say something that you didn't mean for them to say, it's very funny. So in fact, you'll find him throwing words in the middle of a conversation from Kale, and I will say that is not even the meaning of the word, but I just laugh and take it in. So that has been way interesting for me. Yes.
And for Mark?
I think for me, I'd be honest, when we first met, I was in that period whereby I was experiencing wins after wins. So I used to question myself, is she around because of the wins? But also, you see, life is full of ups and downs. So there came times where the wins were now gone. Yeah. And I was experiencing a fair share of difficulties. And her now being around during those times has to be one of my best memories.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I felt the support. It is something that it is not there in everyone.
Right.
Yeah, you will experience a lot of clapping and a lot of joy when you're up, but when you're down, people will just not be there for you. So her being around during those times proved to me that it was amazing.
Fantastic. Yeah. Beautiful. Have you ever told her that?
Yeah, many times.
Oh, she knows it. Eh? Yeah. Now, because you've talked about you teach each other, I want you to tell him in your language that you love him, and then he tells you the same in his language. Tell him. Imagine on live TV. Anyway.
Achamin Mark.
And you?
Airi Maureen.
Oh, fantastic. That's beautiful. Anyway, so probably then, Maureen, you'll tell us, what are some of those lessons, even as you're navigating this journey, that you've learned about each other, just generally? You've talked about the professional bit of it. How about just life generally? What have you learned from Mark, and what has Mark learned from you?
I would say what I learned from him was the importance of boundaries in your life as an individual, not even in the relationship, as an individual.
Right.
I used to be this one person that invited everyone to my space, but he introduced an aspect where I had to understand that in my life I have to have my inner circle, the outer circle, and then the people who are farther in my circle, and ensuring that not everyone can really have access to you when they want to or how they want to. Especially, he was very concerned, especially on how I used to entertain. Maybe I was a leader, and I used to have many people coming into my DM, talking to me late hours. But like most of the things were not even, I would say they were not matters of urgency. Maybe like people trying to tease with you, and it was a point where like he was telling me that you have to show that you are someone who like has limits, and you do not allow everyone to access you anyhow or how they want to. Make yourself expensive to be approached. Not really like having walls that people cannot break through, but being someone who people see and respect, that people can approach when they need something, when they want to know or get to understand something better, not just being anyhow, laughing anyhow, getting into conversations that maybe like jeopardize you as an individual. Treading carefully generally in life. Yes.
And Mark, talking about boundaries, why did you think that was very important for her and even for this relationship then?
I strongly believe that a relationship without boundaries is like a house without walls. Then it at that point it ceases to be a house. And also coupled with that, secrecy is power. The more you keep your things together, the higher they have a chance to succeed. Because a relationship is more or less defined, Benjamin Zulu terms it as embryonic. It is like an embryonic idea. Should it expose it to conditions that are not convenient, then it is likely to die. So at the moment we feel like our dating life, it is at the embryonic point, whereby there are things that need a certain condition in order for it to proceed. Which is why I kept on necessitating that boundaries are important.
Okay, that's beautiful. I think with that then we may be able to go for a very short break and be right back just to get to know really with these different cultural backgrounds, are there any obstacles or challenges that this particular these two people have probably encountered in this dating? So remember to talk to us on 20316, our SMS line, or 0786 316 316, our WhatsApp line, and we'll be right back with more on this.
We are living in a lost and broken world, constantly bombarded by messages of hate and atrocities. But with God, we can overcome. Find hope and restoration on the go through life-changing shows on the Family Media app.
And then you will lose yourself and gain the world. And Jesus said, what good is it?
Get to stream Family TV and Family Radio 316 straight from your phone. Catch up on a show you missed or create video streaming playlists by saving and watching videos from our huge variety of shows at your own convenience. Download the Family Media app, available for all Android and iOS users on the Google Play Store and Apple Store respectively. Family Media, keeping Jesus on the airwaves.
Welcome back to Relationship Clinic, and this Thursday we're talking about defining success when it comes to dating in a relationship. And you know, before we continue with this conversation, I think I'll get to the socials where yeah, we have a comment here. Or is it even a question? Good morning, Sally. What a lovely couple. Just wondering, they're really cool. As well, as we all know, relationships have their ups and downs. Are there times they find themselves not in agreement or not on the same page? How do you handle that? So I think that's about conflict, and you'll be taking that, Mark. And then there's something else someone is asking. Hi, Sally, kindly ask them how they have fun together. So that one will be taken by Maureen. So Mark, you'll take that one.
Okay, fast forward. Before we came to this realization, we used to have arguments time and again.
Okay.
Not to mean that nowadays we don't have arguments. At times the arguments come, but then we realized, now the point where we are starting the dating experience, we realized that should you be given a glass that is full of water and a bottle, and you're asked to pour the water inside the bottle to the glass, the result of it will be that the water in the glass would start overflowing. But if you use an empty glass and a bottle with water, you'll find the glass filled. So to this extent, we realized that in order for us to reach an agreement, we have to have a point whereby we empty ourselves to learning new ideas.
Okay.
So we've had disagreements before, but we've reached a point whereby we have learned to empty ourselves in order to get in new ideas and to also humble ourselves to a point that we can be able to listen to each other's opinion. Also in the same, it is where the couple that I had earlier mentioned steps in. Whenever we reach a point that now we can't agree on something, we get some time on a weekend, we get to visit them. They happen to be very accommodative,
Right.
and they get to guide us. And you know, for them, they are in their 40s. So whenever I'm wrong, they'll just tell me, Mark, by the way, here you're wrong. Or whenever she's wrong, they'll just point it out, which helps us now to resolve and to even think better and have better ways of resolving the disagreements.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a man, are you very easy on saying sorry or apologizing? Does it come easy?
It is a good pointer. When we met, I must admit I wasn't easy. I used to feel like it's a sign of weakness. But moving on, I've learned how to forgive from her.
Yeah.
I was not easy to forgive. But the more I stayed with her, the more she drew me to church and spirituality. I got to learn God, and it helped me just to become forgiving and also to ask for forgiveness where I've gone wrong.
Okay, fantastic. And Maureen probably will take this other question on what are some of the things that you two do together, you know, to have fun? What do you do?
I would say we go out mostly. Our frequent visits to Uhuru Park, to Arboretum for walks. We go there. At times we go as a team. We go play, jump, do all sorts of fun.
Yeah.
We also we borrowed a certain aspect from the Wakurugensis, the gratitude journal.
Right.
So when we go to Arboretum, it is on a weekly basis. So not all weeks. It is not that we go there all weeks, but when we go there, we'll sit down, like have time, like just be grateful for what you've written, you've experienced in that week or in that month. We'll write them down.
Okay.
We'll go maybe have something to eat together, watch movies.
Okay.
Actually, we're getting him to watch a movie, like it's been very hard because it's not like always available.
Yeah.
So you'll find me carrying my laptop, sitting him down, maybe at a cafe. We are currently watching The Fog. It is a 2 hours movie, but we've not even finished it. So like having to watch such movies, sitting down, like seeing like whatever you learned from it, or how do you feel like, what if you are in that position, how would you have managed it? So like those are the things we do for fun.
Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. So before the break, we had talked about, you know, the different cultural backgrounds that, you know, you come from different cultures, right? Have you experienced any challenges or resistance from your soon-to-be in-laws or future potential in-laws?
Okay, thank you. I'd be honest, from my end, I haven't received any. I actually have a number of cousins who've been married to Kalenjins. So from my end, it hasn't been really of an issue.
Okay.
And it is something that personally I find it interesting, getting to learn what they do. I just find it interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
But I must admit that never in my life before, I never thought I would date a Kalenjin. Yeah.
Okay.
But when it happened, I was glad that they are also good people. Yeah. Yeah.
And also that you are Nilot, Sama.
Yeah.
And for you, Maureen?
I would say it has not been a challenge.
Yeah.
I've not experienced any setbacks from his side of the family. And just as he said, I never thought, or I never like even imagined that I will date a Luo, especially now with the notion that people have about them in society. But I thank God, at least he's a good man, I would say that.
Okay.
Yes.
And because both of you, you're still young, and it seems like you've met each other's relatives, probably not fully, but do you think it's important, even when you're dating, to have parents get to know each other? Is that important, Mark?
Yes, it is. Actually, before even going to that, I think one challenge has crossed my mind, but it was more from within.
Yeah.
You see, there is that stereotype whereby when you meet a Kalenjin girl, there's always a Kalenjin man waiting for her, and people say you will reach 40 and suddenly you realize she has another man from home.
Yeah.
So I used to have that insecurity in the earlier days, but as time went by, she proved to me that things are okay. And yeah.
And I love you brought that insecurity a bit, because that was going to be my next question. Yeah. How do you deal with insecurity, Maureen, as a, at your own level and even as a couple? Yeah.
How I deal with insecurities, I tell him how I feel, rather than like pumping it within myself and just letting it go. I'll just tell him, by the way, I don't like what you're doing, I don't like this and this. I would appreciate if you do this. It's making me feel like you don't love me. It's making me feel like you're compromising this relationship. Communication is key, as you had earlier said. So expressing it and telling your partner that I feel a certain way about what you are doing or what you are doing. Okay. Yes.
In a relationship, for you to succeed even for this 1 year, I'm sure there's been a lot of compromise in it. What are some of the things that you've had to compromise just to ensure that, we are still sailing, our boat is still afloat?
Number one, it is important to point out that much as there's been compromise,
right,
it has not been to the extent that we resent some of the things that we so much value in life, such as our dreams, our education, because part of our dream is to also advance in our studies. So much as we've compromised, it has not been to that extent.
Okay.
The things that we've had to compromise, especially for me now, has to be some of my old habits that I thought they were correct. Then I realized that somehow they were not.
Yeah.
And basically the part that I would say I really had to compromise was the fact that she was a CU leader, and at times I really wanted to have so much time with her. And I realized it was to her disadvantage, because she was to serve everyone. She was not Mark's leader, she was the leader of everyone. So I had to compromise when it comes to that, and really understand that when we are in that environment, she's there to lead everyone. Yeah. And I'm not supposed to feel bad about it, because it's part of her obligation. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. For you, Maureen, how does, because you're talking about defining success as a successful relationship. To you, what is a successful, loving relationship like? How does it look like for you?
A successful, loving relationship to me would be a relationship that you are in a safe space, a space where you can air out your views, how you feel, your feelings. You can get to be yourself. Having to be like you're just being authentic in a relationship, not having to infringe a part that makes you so alive. Relationship, at times in a relationship we tend to mirror what you experience in your relationship. If you are someone who loved to be outgoing, loved to be very outspoken, and then it comes to a point where we are your friends and we are saying, hey, Sheruta, you're quiet nowadays. Maybe it's because your partner doesn't want you to be speaking or to be saying out your views. So I would say it comes to a relationship where you can air your views, you can be yourself much as you're in a relationship with someone else. And also being able to journey, not compromising your values, your goals, I would say being in a relationship which makes you maybe drop something that you really wanted to pursue, then I would say that is not a successful relationship.
Awesome.
Yes.
And speaking about goals, it was going to be again my next question in terms of how do you then ensure that you support your partner to achieve their goals, as much as you're in the same field, but what kind of, how do you ensure that happens? Because she's mentioned some of the things, pushing her and all that. What else?
I think the kind of support to push your partner has to stem from the inner feeling to see your partner happy.
Yeah.
Because you realize that they become happy when they achieve their goals. And also them achieving their goals means that you're also growing together. Because as a man, you also gain that respect when your lady becomes someone respectable in the society.
Right.
So out of such, you get that drive to help her and to push her achieving her goals. Especially now when it comes to Maureen, I've stayed with her. I've realized lots of her potential. And even when she's talking about mooting, it is something that you find for her, she does it with more ease. So when I saw the potential in her, it was easy to point out.
Okay.
So you realize that even in pushing for goals, you push for goals that are already there. They just need to be revived.
Okay.
Few times you'll have yourself bringing new things on board. And such things, when you bring them on board, you have to work together to ensure that you meet the end goal. And it also comes at a point whereby we are doing the same career, and most of the time we are around the same space.
Okay.
So it is easy to spot our strengths and our weaknesses, and easier to work on them. Yeah.
For Maureen, I heard you mention about you help him research. Then after that, what else? In terms of supporting his, career.
I came to learn that he's a very inspirational person.
Okay.
When he sits down and tells you something, especially when you are at a point at the verge of breaking, he will really shape you to stand. So especially when I'm in a space where someone is required to maybe inspire. For example, when we go to high school missions, he is the person I will pick. Yeah, because he's very motivational, inspirational. He tends to bring alive something that you want to kill.
Yeah.
So I've seen that in him. And even when I get spaces, maybe forums, where leadership is being talked about, where something that nurtures your standing as a person, I give it to him, because I know that is what he's that is a path that he's really focused on. So I allow him to attend them. I send him the advertisements. And I allow him just to pursue his path.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. In all this, being in the legal space is not easy. I know there's a lot, it comes with a lot of stress, even at work, and you're also in school. How do you manage your stress levels?
Very well. When I was young, I used to think this stress thing is always a far-fetched idea. But I realized stress sometimes can be a trickle down from where you work. Maybe you are shouted at, and you reach home, you just feel like you have all the burden on your shoulder. So you'd easily channel that energy, negative energy, to another person, and sometimes it can be now the person you're dating, in this case Maureen. And there are times, my earlier days, I was interning during my second year, and I realized that at that point of realization, it took me like a month or two to realize, because she used to say there's a way I've been giving some negative energy of late, but I couldn't relate. Then when I sat down, I realized where it was coming from.
Yeah.
And it is at that point that I realized that when it comes to stress, number one, you have to identify. You have to know that this is what I'm actually facing.
Okay.
As I said earlier, it is necessarily someone's individualistic importance, or it is important for you as an individual to know that I am facing this,
Yeah.
and how best can I be for my partner. So upon that realization, number one, prayer. It helps in easing out the situation,
Yeah.
and also the fun activities that she said we usually have, especially on weekends.
Yeah.
After a long week of classes, sometimes interning at the office, we get to have the weekends where we get to have fun, we get to interact with other members of the Christian Union, other members of the church, and it helps in easing the situation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Maureen, I wouldn't want us to end the show without talking about, because you're young people, and, chastity, staying pure. You're both Christians. How important is that in a relationship? Especially, we're speaking to the young people, your generation. How important is that, and is it possible?
Yeah, I would say being chaste is possible, even being in a relationship. How then do you achieve chastity in your relationship? It starts from the floor, like I would say from the foundation itself.
Yeah.
Like how do you start your relationship? From the point you get into a relationship, now we want to be boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
If you don't lay it as part of the ground at the beginning, then it will be very difficult to introduce it when you've already journeyed the relationship, having compromised. So approaching it in a way that I am a Christian and you are a Christian. These are the terms I'm getting into the relationship in terms of my chastity.
Okay.
So this is the extent that we are going to go. Are you okay with that? We are okay. Then we are going to journey this. Of course, and even having the couple mentor us, they are also they've been very fruitful to us.
Okay.
Because, and even just avoiding situations where you can fall, and because the Bible says flee away from sexual sin. It's not something that now you'll just hover around it and say we will overcome it, because you'll find yourself doing what you've not really intended to do. So I would say it is manageable with God. I think having a foundation in Christ is really, and having an identity in Christ is really the beginning of it. And ensuring that as you start your relationship, you lay out your terms and you say what is it that you're going to do and what is it you're not going to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We are actually towards the tail end of this show. We said time flies. Remember I told you guys? Yeah. So we are almost there. But before we finish, probably just one thing maybe or two that you may want to tell us, what you really love about her. Very briefly.
I'd be honest with it. I love the fact that she's supportive through the good seasons and the tough seasons, and also the fact that she has a forgiving heart.
Okay.
Not to mean that it is something that I exploit, but it is something that I get to learn a lot from.
Okay.
And I hope that she continues to be that way.
Awesome. Briefly as well, what you love most about him?
I love the fact that he really desires to take us to the next step.
Okay.
Yeah, always sending us admissions to apply, always sending us maybe interviews to apply for.
Okay.
I love the fact that he looks out for us and wants us to be better versions of ourselves.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Beautiful. For me, I just wish you well. I pray that really God will get you to that place that you want to be, husband and wife, and continue trusting and depending on him. This is a beautiful story, and probably the next time I'll be hosting you will be Mr. and Mrs. Okage. Asanteni sana for your time. And yes, we've come to the end of this beautiful conversation this morning with our young people, and it's been amazing. If you've missed it, you can join it. You can join in on this conversation on our YouTube channels and all our socials. But I want to say a very big thank you again to you, my viewer and listener, wherever you are, as well as a special group of people that I always call them a special community that has ensured we've been on air for the last 25 years, and we keep bringing you beautiful and amazing amazing, impactful content like this one. So if you want to be part of this group, then you can do that by sending in the word partner to 20316 or 0786 316 316, our WhatsApp line, sending the word partner, and our team will reach out to you. And also, if you want to send any kind of support, big or small, it doesn't matter, you can do that through our pay bill number 316 316, and the account name shall be your telephone number. God bless you and keep you. See you again next week on Family Matters, where we'll be bringing you insightful, impactful stories. Thank you and God bless you.